Welcome back to part 2 with Jen Long. Won't you be my realtor? If you haven't listened to part 1, please go back and listen to part 1 and then come over here to part 2.
Welcome to the Clopen Effect, a retail podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us today. I'm your host, Meredith.
And I'm your host, Cass.
Let's have some fun.
I didn't post it on Facebook, but I
didn't see it.
There was some group text. I'll show you.
You got to put that on an anonymous Reddit page or something, you know?
So you're just talking about how nothing's really great, like, in the house. So have you had anyone say, like, they're saying here on Realtor.com that people are saying, does the car in the driveway come with the house?
Oh my gosh.
Has anyone else,
What?
like, been like, hey, does this come with the house? Does, actually, I had a friend who lives in Florida that loved a house so much, they said, how much more for all your furniture and everything that's in this house? How much would would it be?
$1 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm curious about that.
I mean, people will definitely try to like buy the furniture, like especially
Yeah.
outdoor patio sets and stuff that just
Yes.
look amazing with that person's patio. Like you can tell they put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah.
People will
Right.
try and buy those.
I was
Or
gonna
like
say-
wine fridges, things like
yeah,
that.
right.
yeah.
But
If they have that
usually
stuff
not
built
much
in.
else. I mean,
I was
people-
going to say maybe like a golf cart because
Oh
it's
yeah,
like a golf cart
actually, no,
friendly
that is
neighborhood.
something.
Yeah.
People will be like, "Oh, are you leaving the golf cart?"
Yeah.
Or people generally leave pool tables because they're such a pain in
So
the butt
heavy.
to
To
move.
move, yeah.
And
My
so
house-
how you get them in
yes.
the basement? I don't know because
Yeah.
we never.
I
Get
know
to
my
the
parents
pain
have
in
one
the
in their
ass.
basement. I always wonder
We
about
do
that. Like,
too.
yeah.
It took a couple dudes to get that down there.
So we may have already touched on this, but they also mentioned that people ask if anyone's buried in the backyard.
Oh, God.
Cats,
How would you know
dogs,
that?
pets,
Oh.
Yeah.
or humans. And if there's any ghosts, if it's haunted. So any of those questions?
I mean, people just generally will ask if somebody's died there. I've not had anybody worried about like a pet in the backyard. I mean, you'll find that if you do any kind
Yeah.
of landscaping.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I think Todd and Erica's house because there was a little mound
Yes.
and it looked like a burn pit, but it had a dog statue on top. And
Aw.
Todd dug it out and like made it a burn pit and moved the statue over. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that was a dog.
Yes. Yes.
Creepy.
I mean, we only
Like,
have
they
fish back
probably-
here, but
They
And you're not
probably
actually
buried
supposed
it
to
where it
bury your
laid all
dog
the
in
time.
the yard.
No.
Like that's
A
I
lot of
think,
people do,
illegal
though.
or something.
Is it? Do you think
I
so?
think so. I think you're supposed to like
I think a lot. I mean, we
go
had
through the vet.
go through the vet. Yeah,
we had a couple acres
uh-huh.
and we had horses buried back there.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh.
So
wow.
I'm like, somebody digs that up, they're gonna be like, oh my god, it's a dinosaur.
Yes. Yes.
we just had like the guinea pig cemetery because we had a
Yeah.
lot of guinea pigs
Yeah.
growing up. And then
Yeah.
my parents like re-landscaped and I was like, did you find all the shoe boxes with all the little
Yes.
with cocoa and peaches and you
Oh
know
my
all the
god.
and they're like, no, I don't know. I'm like, well, I'm sure they got scooped up by the truck.
Yeah.
We actually,
Sorry, pets.
this is a funny pet story, you know, like off topic, but we used to have this like field behind our house growing up. And for a while, that's where everybody buried their pets because
Yeah.
there was like a paint factory and like just right around that wall up to the field, we'd bury the pets. So they decided to get rid of the field and build like an office building.
Oh my god.
And my friends and I were out there with like our plastic shovels trying to dig up our
my
pets because we were like, no, they're not going to be at peace anymore. And then it was kind of like we looked at each other like, it's going to be like bones.
Yeah. Pet Cemetery,
Let's just
anybody?
stop.
Have we watched that
Let's just
movie?
stop. So this next one says, can I come back at midnight to see how the moon here affects my soul?
That is
So have you had
crazy.
anybody say, I really want to come back at night? Obviously they want to see the neighborhood, especially if there's
Yeah.
young kids
Yeah.
maybe, or,
Yeah.
whatever. I
see
could
that.
see
but
that.
do that on your own time.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I
mean, I've
mean?
had people who want to come back at night, but it's usually like, okay, we'll just drive by the house,
Yeah.
see like, you know, if there's parties going on,
Yeah.
if there's,
Yeah,
you know, lots
yeah.
of cars in the driveways or, you know, the street lights don't work. I mean, that's
Yeah.
really what's inside the house is the same in the day and the
Right.
night.
You can
Right,
picture yourself
right.
in the kitchen looking out the window and what you're going to see.
Exactly. So if people want to drive by at night, that's fine. Just, you know, don't disturb the homeowners. You don't
Yeah.
live
Right,
there.
because right. You
Don't pull
haven't
into
bought the
their
house
driveway.
yet.
Have you had anybody like insist the horse
The horse in the backyard is buried. Yes, you just said it was.
the house faces north south or east
Oh.
west specifically? Like, I won't look at any houses if it's the front door is facing due north, you know?
I haven't had that issue, but I do have like people who are very specific, like, oh, I'm in the master bedroom and like, which way is the sun? And like,
I'm very, like, I've put thought into that, okay? Our house faces
South.
Does it face south?
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So it's very nice that in the summer, in the afternoon, the sun isn't just burning up the back of my house. It kind of goes over my house horizontally.
Yes.
Oops. And that is actually something that I've thought about. If I ever built a house, I would make sure it faced north-south.
Yeah, that's nice because I know like my parents' house again, they have a lot more windows than I do, but their back windows, we'll be sitting at the table in the summer, like eating dinner or something. And I'm
so
like wearing
hot.
sunglasses because it's hot.
Yes.
The sun is directly in my eyeballs. And it's like, you know, can we semicircle backwards a little bit more? Everybody scooch together.
Yeah, our
like,
cabin up north faces east-west. And in the afternoon, we'll go up there in August. There's no air conditioning up there.
Yes.
And we have these huge picture windows, and there's a lake right there, and the sun is shining in, and it's shining off the lake. And like you said, you need sunglasses, and it's like so hot you don't even want to move.
I mean, it's not bad like if you're outside.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
You know, in the summer, if it's not too bad, like we'll go eat on the patio and that's nice. But when you're in the house and you're just like getting beat on by the sun and blinded, you're like, ugh.
And like you don't want to close your blinds. I'm sorry.
No, you don't.
You know,
you don't.
You want to have that natural light, but it's like, that's a lot of light.
Yeah. My parents' house and our house face south. And our front doors get beat up. So we finally built a porch on ours.
Yes.
Because our door would just be warped.
Yeah.
And my parents are going through the same thing because the sun beats on their door.
Yeah.
So every year Steve and team have to go like re-stain it and caulk it, and because the whole thing just the sun
Gets
just beats
warped.
on it. Yeah.
Totally.
So, and they can't put a porch on theirs the way it's set up, but we were lucky enough to be able to put a porch on ours. So now just the roof gets beat up and the door does not.
Yeah.
But you could go through front doors left and right if you're facing
for
south
sure.
and you don't have a porch or a covering.
Yeah, like
You
an
know?
awning of sorts. Yeah.
So that's things for you guys to all think about.
So this last question says, why is the garage unfurnished?
Why is the garage
would you have a
unfurnished?
furnished garage?
Have you had
mean-
strange questions like that?
Some people will ask about like the insulation in the garage.
yeah.
Or, you know, because sometimes you have finished walls.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have like insulation.
Yes.
Sometimes you have nothing,
Nothing.
and it's just very
walls.
cold and
Yeah.
there's just walls, you know?
It's like, where's the carpet in here, guys?
But so some people ask about that, or they'll be like, oh, are all these racks included? And or is this included? Or, ooh, are they going to leave that, you know, bike rack or that
Yeah.
Yes.
golf
yes.
simulator or whatever? And
A
it's
golf
like,
simulator in
Yes.
the garage. Yeah. I know it's weird, right?
All right.
It
So I know it
is.
takes a lot to be an agent.
Yes.
So I have a little quiz for both of you.
Quiz time.
Oh, gosh.
Hey, we
Hopefully
haven't
I
done
beat
this in
you.
a very, very long time.
We haven't had quizzes in so long. I miss
This
our
is
quizzes.
from Quizonomy. Oh my God.
Quiznos?
Quizoni.com. I don't know.
Quiz on me?
Yeah, Quizani. Quizani. There we go. I got it.
Oh, okay.
Quizani.com.
Okay.
It's like croissant.
So you answer it
Worcestershire
to see if
sauce.
you would be a good real estate
Okay.
agent. You let us know if
It's
that
right
is
or
it.
wrong.
These
Okay.
are super
I get to judge
simple
you.
questions.
Sure. You
super
say
simple
that.
questions. No, they are. They
You say
truly are.
that. Okay.
So it says, would I be a good real estate agent? How confident are you? Very
Not at all.
not.
Not at all.
So you couldn't just be like, I could sell your house.
No.
Or, okay.
No.
All right.
No.
So we're going to say not very confident.
No, definitely not.
So Jenna, do you feel you're confident? You can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Like, yeah, I sold a couple.
Yeah, I've been doing it for 4
definitely in the
years.
beginning, like it was a little scary because
Yeah.
you're like
Yeah.
so green, but
You don't want to mess up.
Yeah.
I'm fine now. I mean,
Mess up someone's whole future.
You know what? I'm sorry. I'm going to actually pause this for a second because I wanted to ask you about safety.
okay.
So I know you mentioned that you text your boyfriend or, you know, whatever's going on, but how do you let people know, hey, I'm going? And because I am a crime junkie, I was listening to all Datelines and all that
Yes.
kind of stuff. There was one that I was listening to. I'm like, this is a good question for Jen. How do you keep safe?
well, you know, you hope that you're working with people that you already know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes,
Your
yes.
sphere of influence is like your greatest asset as a realtor.
Yes.
But, you know, you're not always. So, if somebody calls me out of the blue or contacts me on like, you know, one of the sites or something like that, I usually ask for their phone number and not just their email or whatever. And then I have a system to look up, reverse look up the phone number, and I can see, if there's some alarming criminal background.
Okay.
Nothing, it's not too much information. It's just enough to like, if there's a ton of domestic abuse or something like that, or attempted murder, like I'm not going to go.
Know.
So,
Yeah.
And have you found that? Have you found people that you're like,
a couple people who it's like, you know what? No, I'm not going to show you this house. But
wow.
You also can kind of see sometimes like it's not 100% accurate, but maybe like the make and model of their current car.
Okay.
So that way, we had this one listing, and I actually ended up selling this gentleman a different house. He was great. Okay.
Yeah.
But he called me out of the blue, and I looked him up, saw what kind of car he drove.
Mm-hmm.
Turned out like that was the car. I let my coworker know I'm going to be at this house. This is the car that this person is supposed to be driving. And I like texted her like when they showed up. I'm like, yep, same car. And then, so you let them walk in front of you when you go in the house.
Right.
Okay.
I don't usually lock the door behind me in case I need to get out.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But you also got to be aware of, if they have anybody else in the car, try to get everybody in the building because you don't want somebody coming in behind you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always walk behind people, give them some distance.
I would never even,
Wow, that's
I shouldn't say I
excellent.
would never think of that, but yeah, I would probably be the person like, yeah, come on, let's go. Oh my God, now I'm tied up in the basement.
Yeah. And we're done.
Another thing is maybe back your car into the driveway.
Okay.
So that if you do have to make a quick exit, you don't have to worry about reversing.
Reversing.
Although I did that the other day at a property where I was meeting a complete stranger, and he pulls up and pulls right in front of me, like the nose of my car.
Oh
and I'm
my
like,
God.
but I wasn't as concerned when I saw that he was driving a Tesla. I'm like, all right,
Okay.
maybe he's not like the
I
murderer.
I don't know.
It was kind of a creepy house that was not like, it was an auction, and so house was not approved for human occupancy or whatever. And I'm
wow.
like, I'm driving an hour to like meet somebody that I don't know, and this house, and I pulled up in a Tesla, and I was like, oh, he's an investor.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Oh yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Although, have you ever?
But I was like, block me in. That's not cool.
what
Like,
is that movie? American Psycho?
oh yeah.
Like he
Yeah.
was an investor, right?
Yeah, so Stephen was watching that
Thanks.
when he was home. He was watching that when he was home, and I watched for 10 minutes. I'm like, you like this movie? And
It's
he
a
was like,
good
it's
movie.
crazy.
It's a good
I do have to
movie.
watch that
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Isn't it Christian Bale, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good movie. Yeah.
No, so I usually let somebody know where I'm going to be.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
who I'm supposed to be meeting.
yeah.
What time so,
Their phone number and all that
yeah,
good stuff. All their
Have you ever
info.
walked out of a house like this is too creepy for me, or no? Or have you been pretty lucky? I know you have a lot of friends, so I can't imagine that
No,
anything happened.
the only time I've ever done that is just the vacant houses that I have to
Yeah.
go check on sometimes.
Oh,
like,
sure.
When, there's still stuff inside, and I I have to go deep into a back bedroom and there's no other
Oh,
exit. And I
no.
get so paranoid that like somebody's waiting there to murder me. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
just,
yeah, because that's how it always is.
I'm gonna get raped and murdered at every single house. Like,
Yes,
that's just,
you are.
If it's vacant and abandoned, somebody's got to be squatting or just
Yeah.
waiting with a knife.
Yeah, yeah, they know you're showing up. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, even though I have no set time or anything,
You're
they're
right.
there waiting for
They
me.
are definitely waiting.
So
Somebody's there waiting.
that's the only time I get freaked out. And so, like, I did go to a house recently the one that I thought had like a body bag in it. And
Yeah.
there's just stuff everywhere. And it's creepy when people
It
leave their
is.
stuff because they'll be like, old stuffed animals
Yeah.
or, whatever. And it's just
Yeah.
eerie.
We just
Yeah.
watched too many scary movies
Yes.
when
We
we were
do.
kids.
So like
yeah.
I had to go 2 times because I'm such a fraidy cat. The first time I went in, I walked in, like I could hear like water dripping in the basement, and I'm like,
God.
oh my gosh, like I'm getting paranoid,
Yeah.
and I didn't have my flashlight, and I was like, oh no, because like I'm trying to take pictures and my phone flashlight's just not doing it. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, so I walked into like the kitchen, and then like my phone around the corner to like look at the living room, and I was like, you know what, I think I'm just gonna come back.
Yeah. I'd be
Why
yelling
you
out. I'd
trying
be
to
like,
do that at night anyways? Do that shit during
Oh,
the day.
it wasn't even that late. It was just like there was a snowstorm, and I was like,
okay.
I was kind of freaking out, and
I'd be pretending someone was with me. I'd be like, Officer Tom, do you see anything down the hallway?
No, I don't.
well, I had my neighbor on the phone with me, and I was like right down, and I was just like,
Yeah,
you know what, no,
that's
like
good.
I'm
That's
going
good.
back with a flashlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let absolutely everybody know. Like,
so then do you carry one of them big like mag-light flashlights? You can just like boom right on the head. If
Oh my gosh,
I
such
should.
a great
But
idea.
They're heavy, and at the same time, I'm like trying to be on the phone while taking pictures and holding a flashlight. It's like
and watching behind you to make sure no one else showed up.
Jesus.
It's like, okay,
I
be
know,
on the
this
phone
is
with
crazy.
me, but don't talk too much so that I can hear you. If somebody
my
comes
God.
up.
I'm already stressed out.
I know, I'm stressed out for her. I don't even sell houses.
Well,
Are you a good salesperson?
No.
Okay, all right.
I don't sell
didn't you
stuff.
work
Jen?
in retail?
Yeah, I didn't have to sell anything. The products sold themselves.
Oh, yeah, they always do.
Do you feel that you're a good saleswoman?
I think that it's important to be able to sell yourself
Yes.
in this industry, because there are a gajillion realtors. So you have to be that person that, goes above and beyond, is trustworthy, does their due diligence, is available, like is friendly, and I think that I can sell myself fairly well, mostly because I end up just like falling in love with all of my clients, and I'm like, oh, let's be besties,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you spend so much time with them.
Yeah,
and
I probably would too.
And it's a big event, really.
It's a huge life
And you're there
experience,
for
and I'm
it.
there for it. And
Yeah.
I just, I get really sad after closings, because it's like we've just spent so much time together, and then I
and then you
never
like
see
never
you
talk to
again.
them again.
Yeah.
Until
Text
they're
me.
having a couple babies and they got to upgrade, right?
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Are you good with figures?
No.
Dollar signs? No?
I hate math.
Jen, are you good with figures?
If I have a calculator, yes.
There we go.
I don't do math in my head so well anymore.
No, I'm not good at math at all.
Is real estate something you've been interested in ever?
I mean, I would like to own multiple houses.
Okay, so I'll put somewhat.
Yes. I
Yes.
used to actually want to do like interior design and stuff.
Oh,
and
love it.
I became obsessed with Victorian houses and just watching tons of HGTV,
Can I ask
especially
your-
Rehab Addict, and I was like, ugh. And
Can I
so,
ask
yeah.
your opinion on something?
Of course.
Modern farmhouse.
I think it's going off the wayside a little bit.
Oh.
I mean, it's
I'll
great, but
say-
like you don't want to be too I mean, people go a little too far sometimes.
Like putting barn
explain it.
doors everywhere.
Explain it to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like everything's light gray with white trim.
It's,
Okay.
It's grayish.
And
Grayish.
There you go.
Grayish.
That is such a perfect term for it. You have words everywhere. Kitchen, farm,
Yes.
eggs, coffee, everything. Live, laugh, a lot of live, laugh, love.
Okay. Live, laugh, leave me alone.
Yeah. That's my
Family.
favorite. Family, yes.
Wash your hands.
Yes,
Wow.
bath, shower, toilet, sink.
Oh,
soap,
interesting. Interesting.
But then you have, like I said, barn doors, the
sliding barn doors.
doors.
Okay.
Okay, so it's basically taking like farmhouse concepts and putting them into like a brand new build.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's not, not as hot as it once was.
It's still hot, but I want to say like the gray is still probably like the big color, but I think people want a little bit more warmth, which is why the gray beige thing started happening. But you go in these houses and it's like gray walls and it's like the gray, distressed flooring. That's not real wood. It's the,
it's tile,
the vinyl plank or whatever.
Yes.
And I think that is going to be it's going to be like the, olive green, avocado green refrigerator of our generation.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I
okay.
agree. I
okay.
agree.
I think that I like barn doors for certain things, like laundry rooms. That makes a lot of sense sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Or closets, because
But
you
not
actually can
in
get
every entryway.
Right.
Like you can do one as like a
Accent.
focal point or accent. Yes,
Right.
right?
Yes.
I do
Or-
like the fact that people are less afraid of color in their kitchens now, because it was always like white kitchens or black cabinets or nothing in between, or just wood.
I had a lot.
Yeah.
I have a lot of color in my house.
Yeah, but people
Yeah.
do they'll paint the lower cabinets and then keep the uppers
Okay.
a more neutral, and I think it's nice. I mean,
I do think a lot of people went with gray,
Yeah.
to sell their house because it's a neutral, right? So they would go through and paint all their walls
Yes.
gray.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
well,
put
because
fresh
if
white.
they had a red wall, or
Yeah.
their daughter had a pink bedroom or something like that, they always say go neutral, because that person's family might not have that, and then they're gonna look and feel like maybe it's not a good fit. That's why they say take your family pictures down,
Right.
depersonalize your home. But I don't think having an entirely gray house is necessary.
Is that so? Do you think that thinking is old thinking? Maybe people now, the generations now purchasing house, want to see family photos and what it looks like when it's lived in. And like you said, the patio furniture, you can tell they spent time, you know, thinking this out.
I don't know that people want to necessarily see family photos because there's actually one time I was at a house doing a showing and I look at this photo and I was like, oh my gosh, I used to work with that kid. Like, it was his grandma's house or something. I'm like, oh, that's like so-and-so from that Starbucks. And I was like, oh, how weird. So yeah, like people get caught up looking at your family photos and I feel like that gets a little creepy. So it's not a bad thing to like take them down. And especially like, you know, our code of ethics is very specific. And, you know, if we have a client who's asking us like to do something that is against the code that involves racism or discrimination or anything like that, like we fire that client. Okay.
Yeah.
But I have had people like mention like, oh, it looks like, you know, a such and such person lives here or whatever. And it's like,
okay,
you know, let's not do this.
Let's not
you can
judge
do
people.
whatever you want to this house after you buy it. Don't worry about what they're doing, what their choice is.
I worry about when I have to sell my house because my living room is literally purple and gold.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. But I don't know that anyone would walk in and say, "Oh, I can tell who lives here."
Right? Like, no, like
I wouldn't even
look at this
think
crazy
that.
bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, who cares who lives here? If you're gonna buy the house, you're gonna make it your own anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm always just like, you know, let's not do that. And you know, the best way to avoid that is really just to say, which is true. You have cameras in your house, don't you? So do they.
Yeah.
So does everybody else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to make sure you are respectful?
Right.
You keep your mouth shut. We don't talk. And I usually say it in regards to like, we're not going to talk about price. We're not going to talk about what you like, what you don't like, because we don't want to give away our hand if this is a house that you want to buy. We talk about this outside
of the house.
You know, on the sidewalk, away from the Ring doorbell.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's so true.
And so that, I think, I mean, not that I have had really too much experience with people, you know, being just discriminating or anything like that.
Or disrespectful or anything.
Disrespectful. I think that's a better word.
Yeah.
Really not. I mean, sometimes it's just a comment like of style or whatever.
Right.
Like,
Sure.
Like, I wonder if these people are.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, let's just not. So the camera thing, it's like, it helps people.
People forget
mind their
that we
P's and
are.
Q's.
Yeah.
We are
People
constantly
forget we're
watched.
constantly
It's like
watched.
Big Brother or something, right?
Totally.
Yeah. They say, you're constantly being watched.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not somebody who thinks like that. I mean, I'll
Yeah,
be
me
like, oh, wow,
neither.
this house is straight out of the 90s.
Yeah.
But like,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you know any real estate agents?
I know two. I know you and then my old boss.
Perfect. Well,
Yeah.
yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And do you know, like, was there anyone that inspired you to become a real estate agent, or did you just decide this is really what I love, like you've mentioned?
I knew that it was something that I wanted to do, but there was a girl who was in one of my mommy groups who was doing it, and she was really helpful. I asked her some questions. I ended up joining the same company as her. We didn't work together, and then we both ended up going in different directions after that.
Okay.
But just being able to like sit down and have lunch with her and kind of pick her brain a little bit and see how it all worked, that was really helpful. But I had already decided that like this was what I was going to do.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of friends? Do you have a lot of connections? And are you easy to talk to new people?
I'm easy to talk to.
I'm going to say yes, yes, and yes to all of those.
Okay. I don't think I have that many.
I answered it
okay.
for you. You have a ton. Every single time we go out, she's like, "Oh, it's so and so from blah blah blah. You know who they are." I'm like, "I don't know who these people are." Every time.
Yeah, no, I feel like I'm kind of in that same boat. Like I
don't
remember
have a lot-
I was
I have a
driving
lot
through
of
Woodstock and I was
acquaintances.
like, "Oh, hey, girl!" Down the street.
Yeah.
Like, there was a girl walking down the street, and like I knew her.
Yeah.
I wasn't her agent. She ended up going in a different direction, but she and I ended up connecting on like a friendship level.
Yeah.
Not that we hang out. We're like just good acquaintances.
Right.
She gave me a piece of furniture. Lovely girl. But I was like driving. I'm like, "Oh, hey, it's you!" And I'm like rolling down the window, and she's like, "Oh, hi."
The best is when I think I see Meredith running down the road
Yes.
and it's somebody that looks similar to her.
So I sent Jen a random message. Was it last year or maybe even 2 years ago? And I said, there is someone that runs in my neighborhood who looks exactly like you. And every time I see this person running, I'm like, oh, that's Jen. I'm like, what would Jen be doing out here? But she's tall, thin. She has that same cadence that you do. Or, you know, like, and I'm just like every time. So it's not a female. Or I don't think they identify as female. I'm so sorry. It's been 5 years probably that I've seen this person. I finally was running a couple mornings ago, and I said hello. This person passed me, and they went hello.
Oh my god!
I was like, oh my gosh,
oh, that's so funny.
I don't know if there's two of you out there or if that's the same. And I was like, oh, I
It's
have
your
to let
male
Jen know.
doppelganger.
My male
It is. Long,
I know
beautiful,
I'm
long
tall,
blonde hair.
but the gazelle legs.
The
not that I run
gazelle
anymore.
legs,
But
yes.
I was like, oh, you're like a gazelle. And I'm like,
Years
yeah,
ago
I
when we would
was.
run. Yeah, I was like,
was.
wow, that's okay.
That
All
is so
right.
funny.
Yes,
And
it
then
was
I ran
great.
up a bunch of mountains, and I was like, this is wonderful. I think I'm good for a while.
All right, I've seen it all.
We're
I'm
done here.
Oh, speaking of not people who look like me, but whatever. I had this Instacart driver the other day, and he comes up, and I seriously I see him in the driveway, his back's turned to me. Thought it was a girl. Beautiful, bleach blonde, long hair, whatever. Comes in, I'm like, oh no, that's a very attractive looking man. But if I was, a member of Ace of Base or something,
Yeah.
it was different, and I was just like, he's a very beautiful man.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly how I can describe that runner too. Same thing.
That
so
is
jealous
funny.
of his hair, though. It was
Yeah,
Dude,
same.
it's the worst when dudes have better eyelashes than us,
yeah.
better hair than us.
Oh, that's
They
come on. That's
they
my
almost
life.
always have better eyelashes. It's like, screw you.
I
That's
think-
not okay.
Okay, but my theory is
We've ruined them.
because they don't start putting gunk on them at the age of 10.
Yeah.
Well, and their eyebrows are usually better because they didn't pluck the crap out of them in the late 90s, early 2000s. That's why we all draw them on now.
That's so funny.
Are you good at small talk?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a definite.
Yeah.
Jen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have a nice speaking voice?
No.
I think I sound weird, but I don't know.
You judge your own voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're the worst judge about your own voice. And like you said, oh, I never heard my own voice, when we were playing back.
Yeah.
And I was. I don't know how worried you were, but I was very worried because I've heard myself talk on the phone, voicemail, this and that. And I'm like, no one's going to want to listen to this. No one's going to want to listen to
I
this.
always thought I sounded kind of like a valley girl, but I think I just talk really
Yeah.
fast sometimes.
Yeah.
And,
But you have a lot to say. It's good.
I don't say as much as I used to, which is good.
Oh, I do little. I said a lot
Did you
of
grow up
ums.
in Illinois?
Yeah, I
You
grew
did,
up in
okay.
Naperville.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Fancy.
Yeah, my parents still live in the same house they did
That's
since
crazy.
1985.
Oh my God.
Are you okay with working weekends?
No. You want to work weekends?
Yes.
Yes,
Because
you're
I don't
okay because-
always have my kids, and it makes it a lot easier. I don't have to drag them around.
Yeah.
Do you have to schedule around? Is it every other weekend? Do you have to schedule your visits of the house?
No, I
on
mean,
that? Okay.
I try to just be available, but I do let my clients know, this would be a better time for me because, people, they think that they're your boss when they're
Right.
your clients sometimes.
Right.
And they'll say, okay, I'm available on this day at this time. Can we go see these 7 properties? And it's like,
These 7
honestly,
properties.
that's just not good for me.
Right. No.
So, because
No.
I'll say I'd like to get home for the bus or
Sure.
and I have neighbors. My kids are
Right.
a little bit older. They're not old, but they're
Still.
they're not babies.
Yeah.
And so it's if I'm home 10 minutes late, whatever, I text my neighbor and I'm like, hey, can you just check in on them?
Make sure
my
they get in the
daughter has a
house.
cell phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal, but I like to be home. I don't want them home alone all the time.
Yeah.
Is this a full-time job for you, or do you have something else?
No, this is it.
That's it. Okay.
is it.
Okay.
Crazy.
At one point, were you working 2 jobs?
I was
You were
working
doing-
3 jobs at one
Okay,
time.
I
my
thought so.
gosh.
Yeah,
thought so.
I was doing real estate. I was working at a martini bar, and I was
Yes.
cleaning houses.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
I remember.
too
that.
much.
Yes.
But
I couldn't handle
I was
that.
doing it all part time, and
Now this is full time.
yeah.
Great.
Well, I mean, COVID happened, and I had just gotten divorced, and I no longer had anybody to babysit my kids, because we were all in
Homeschool.
lockdown and
Yeah.
homeschool, and the bars when they opened back up, I mean, we were still wary of
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
that, and my ex-husband he loves the kids, but he was really concerned about, going back and
Back
forth.
and
Sure,
and whatnot,
sure.
Because his job wasn't closed and he worked in like restaurant industry at that time.
Yeah.
So he was very concerned about like infecting the kids, and my daughter's asthmatic. So like, we were totally freaked out that like if she got it, like she'd end up on the ventilator or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, I had, what was it, 2.5 months or whatever that we were in the lockdown where I like didn't have, my parents didn't have any, I just moved into my house like right when it happened, and didn't know anybody. And then I didn't have, they weren't seeing their dad because we were so concerned and being safe. And I was just like, it's just me and us all the time, all day, every day. And I was like, I can't go to work. There's nothing. So I had to quit the bar. And then I quit cleaning actually because I had stuck around doing it for one gentleman because he was just so sweet. And he had dementia, I believe.
Oh.
And he knew who I was. And I figured if I quit, because I quit everybody else because I was focusing on real estate. But I was like, if I quit, what if they can't send the same person every time or whatever? And it gets very confusing.
Yep.
So I stuck around until he died.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet
That's
of
nice
you.
of you.
I was like, he was a good guy. I went to his wake and everything. I mean, like, loved him.
Oh, oh my gosh.
That was
sad,
a sweet
but
but morbid story.
Well, you said something about morbidity earlier. And
I did. I'm very morbid. Which type of buildings would you be interested in selling? Like luxury, regular size condos, apartments? And the next question, which is my own, is that if you're going to a luxury home, do you dress up? If you're going to a foreclosure, do you wear sneakers? So first, Cass, answer me on that, and then I'm curious about Jen.
If I was going to sell stuff, I would definitely want it to be luxury because commission.
Yes.
All right, we're going to talk about that too. And then Jen, what about what's your style?
Have the vibe.
The look.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're doing luxury, you have to look expensive.
Yeah.
You belong there.
You get out you give yourself one pump of Chanel that you got for Christmas a long time ago.
Shop on ThredUp and get all your designer clothes for super cheap.
Yeah.
So you do have different outfits for different homes.
I mean, obviously, I'm going into a vacant house that's trashed. I'm gonna wear stuff I don't care about.
Sure.
And,
so then if you're going to sell like a farm, you put on your cowboy boots and cowboy hat.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not the cowboy hat, but I do have cowboy boots.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Get your shit kickers on.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a hoarder's house?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
With like animal hair stuck to the wall and feces
Stop.
and just boxes.
Yeah.
And, like,
But
you
then
can't
do
walk
they
through
like act
how does-
like it's normal? Is that's what blows my mind is I've been to hoarders' houses before and they just act like, oh yeah, come on in. And you're like, huh,
Yeah.
oh, okay, where do I walk?
They act like it's normal, but those are a lot of the times the houses where like the bank will take over because it's like unfit for human occupancy.
Yeah.
So you
that
may
type
not
of thing.
see the people that live there.
We generally will end up talking to them because we're trying to convince them to like go.
It's time to go.
Right.
It's time
Okay.
to go. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So there's some negotiation.
I love
usually
watching
How
when
does
you
the
get-
house get cleaned up? I'm sorry, I have so many questions for you.
no.
I warned her last week when I sent her a message. I'm like, I have so many questions.
Well, so usually with these houses, like once you get into that situation, you're usually buying a lot. It's not even just garbage. Like it's people just like buying things, and
Yes.
it's all still in their original packaging, just all over the house and whatever.
Oh,
so
gosh.
that's why the bank will end up, coming in because they're spending all their money on stuff that's stacked around their house
And stop paying their bills.
and stop paying their bills, and
Yeah.
it's a disease, really. I mean,
It is.
it's terrible. But as far as like once these properties come into the possession of like we can finally start doing things with them, there are specific companies you can call who come in and do trash out and all of that. And then you find somebody who can do a sales clean or rip out the carpet even, which we've had to do before.
Sick.
Oh gosh.
Those ones with poo piled up everywhere.
Oh gosh. It's very sad.
Dead
It's
animals.
very sad.
Yeah, it's
Sick.
gross.
Are there a lot of real estate agents in your area that you know of?
No.
Cass. Okay,
know
so
two.
no. So Jen, do you feel like it's a competitive
It is.
competitive sport?
It is. I mean, because there's a lot of people to choose from. The nice thing is that everybody I know in the realtor world is super nice. And, we're all part of different like realtor organizations on top of being with different companies. So we do spend a lot of time together, like networking and doing, I'm on the board of directors for my realtor association, and everybody's just really awesome. We do a lot of charity things, and everybody gets together, and we're all
That's fun.
We all feel
So
pretty
it's
much
not like
equals.
Holding knives to each other's
No,
necks.
I mean, there's definitely some
other.
people that, because I'm only 4 years in. I feel like I know a lot and that I'm good at my job. But there's people who have 30, 40 years of experience, and everybody knows their name, and I get a little intimidated sometimes, but everybody's so nice. And
it's like meeting a celebrity. You're like, oh my God, you're Mr. Thompson, who sold so-and-so's mansion back in 2006.
Right.
Yeah.
But everybody's so nice and like down to earth, and like, hey, gives you a hug, congratulations, or like, see, you're doing really well, because we can usually check on each other's
Celebrate
numbers.
wins.
So everybody celebrates each other's wins, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
That is nice.
So the last one is, and I skipped a few and I answered them for you, just so
okay.
you know.
Okay. Thanks, Mare.
There's 29 questions. We're not going through all of them.
No.
Do you like talking on the phone?
I'm a texter.
You're a texter?
I'm
Jen?
a texter.
Yeah.
I'm going to put only in emergency situations.
Yeah.
I will talk on the phone. Obviously, like I have to make phone calls and stuff.
It's
but
funny.
I find that the first time I'm on the phone with somebody new, I have like the worst verbal diarrhea, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
It's
I'm so
funny
embarrassed.
that you say only in emergencies, because me and Mom have been doing this.
Yes.
Where we'll call each other and we go, oh my God, hello, what?
Yes.
And it's like, because we never call each other,
Yes.
She's like, oh my, I was so nervous you were calling. I thought something happened,
Yep. I can always tell when my mom calls what's going on.
Yeah.
Because she'll say, she'll just, the way she says my name, she'll be like, Mare. And I'm like, oh God, who died?
What happened?
What happened?
Yeah.
Who's sick?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Or she'll be like, hey, what's going on? I can just tell the
Yes.
difference. I can just tell the difference. And I
Yeah.
guess we all know. So it
Yeah.
says that you would make a good real estate agent. Not great, not excellent. Good. You're right in the middle. So if you ever wanted to become a Jen, you'd be good at it.
I'll go
I could
try
train
to-
you, I guess.
I'll go try and sell some apartment buildings or something.
Good luck.
Yeah.
So anyone that wants to be in the business, take the test, all that fun stuff, any advice for them?
Study hard.
Yeah, study hard.
Study hard.
Just be aware that it's not easy. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you don't become a realtor and all of a sudden everybody's be like, oh, you want to sell my house? Like, no, you have to really work for that business and sell. It's really about selling yourself. I mean, sometimes you get lucky and things just kind of fall in your lap, but you are working for that business. It's not handed to you.
Yeah. And on that, give us a range. I don't want to know exactly, but how much can you make on each sale?
On
each sale. Like, give us a range. I don't want to know exactly, but
like, do you make 10% commission or do you
No.
make 50% commission? Or do you make 6% commission?
So usually it's the commission. There's no standard.
Okay.
But it'll be maybe between, let's say, like 4 and 6%.
Okay.
And that is split between the buying broker and the listing broker. So then you're
and that's
at
the final sale of the house?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
okay.
so you get the 2 or 3%, and you don't get paid until the house closes.
Okay.
Okay. That's good to know.
So,
And
then you
then
make
your brokerage will take like a part because you work for them.
Okay,
Sure,
so then
sure.
do you okay, one more question.
Oh, of course. No, please go.
Are you on payroll for the brokerage?
No.
You rent like your desk.
I don't
right?
rent my desk.
No.
I just pay a percentage out of my commissions to my brokerage
Okay.
for allowing me to be a part of their organization and the training and the technology and everything that they provide.
Okay.
So there's no,
and that includes like a website for you, and they'll do
Yes.
everything
and
for
every
you.
brokerage is different with what they'll provide
Oh,
and
sure,
what their
sure.
fees are and
Yeah.
everything like that. Where I'm now with Villa Home, I mean, they're awesome. I've just joined their brand, and I'm happy so far. So
Great. So if someone wants to sell or buy a home, where can they find you? The whole reason she's here, actually. Probably should have started with that.
Well, you can definitely email me at jennifer.long@vylla.com, and I would be happy to get in touch with you.
Perfect.
Very good. Very good. Good.
Are you friends with the Clopen? So you can just search our friends on Clopen
Yeah,
on
we'll
Facebook.
tag you.
Okay.
We'll tag you. We'll make sure everybody can
I
find
should be
you.
because I was on there and I was
You're like, I should
Yeah,
be.
yeah. We'll find.
I was doing
We'll
the
find
things
you.
with the
You
stuff.
find
I
us.
don't know.
You have your people call our people.
She
all that
says
fun
I was
stuff.
doing the thing to the stuff. Yeah, definitely.
I feel like
friends with us.
I friended it right when you guys started
Yeah.
because I
That's
saw
awesome.
your post. So.
Amazing, amazing. Well, thanks so much for joining
of
us.
course.
This
Thank
was
you.
Everybody,
so
let's
much
go buy a
fun.
house.
Woo! Thanks. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Go buy a house.
You gotta open your gift.
This podcast is brought to you by NameTag Productions, LLC. Entire podcast, unless otherwise stated, written by the hosts. Drums, written and performed by my son, Steven. The Clopen Effect, a retail podcast. If we have to be all in this together, we might as well make it fun.